And Gateway, I'm Asia. We're on this Mercury day. And since it's Mercury day, we're going to go over the words. The words indoctrination, the word doctrine, doctrinate, doctrine, and propaganda, because these are things that need to be really understood. And we're going to inspan, we're going to go within to the yin, to the spiritual side of seeing things. And we're going to look into this, okay? We're going to be the observer over these words. I'm not here to make you believe in anything. We're going over information by observing information, speaking about it, using our own imagination for coming up whatever pictures or ideas that we have on our own, okay? I'm just using myself as a vessel to speak from my perspective, my angle of space, right? And so this is in order for you to come to your own conclusion about information. But I'm just giving my perspective and a way of seeing. So we're gonna combine the masculine and feminine, okay? The things in the light and in the dark, okay? Because whatever is not brought to your attention before, if you're learning something new here today, then this is what we can consider being in the dark for you, because you would be in the dark about the information I'm saying if you didn't already know. So this is about bringing things to light. So we're going to start with indoctrinate. Indoctrinate. Let's start with that, because there's a lot of belief systems about that too, and believing of it to be a certain way. And it's only a belief system when you can't see beyond a certain idea of what something is. So that can become a belief system because you'll be operating from that belief. Your life will be an example of that belief system, because that's what you use your mind to imagine for yourself. So indoctrinate. Now this is as a verb transitive, so that is a representation of movement. Action could be an action, right? Indoctrinate, yep, verb transitive, is to indoctrinate. No, not to indoctrinate, indoctrinated, indoctrinating, in and to teach, from, learning. Now that's the source of the word. That is the word at its root in the English language. That's important to understand, because things go deeper from that, because a language has a lineage as well. We are understanding this from the perspective of the English language and its formation and how this word came to be, because it was identified by these energies and these natures. So indoctrination has a nature, it has a spirit. We are deep diving into the spirit of the word right now, because it's not right here in front of us. Okay, so we're using information from the ethers, or wherever you want to call that, from the spirit realm, in order to observe this type of information. I hope that makes sense, because we don't have a real life example of indoctrinate. Well, actually we do, because it's to teach, and that's what I'm doing right now, if you want to look at it in that form. But the basic principality of it is to teach, to indoctrinate, to indoctrinating. So the source of the word is to teach. Then we go into number one. Now this is how it's first identified, right? Because number one signifies the beginning. So this is how we dive deeper into numbers. Because when we look at number one, instead of just seeing it as a number one, we see it as individuality. We see it as an individual being, existence, a beginning, right? Because it's the beginning of a cycle, number one. So at its beginning of use is to instruct in doctrines, to instruct in doctrines. Okay, so we know that indoctrinate is to teach, so it's also to instruct in doctrines. Okay, now let's continue. Let's continue. So to instruct in doctrines, comma, theories, comma, beliefs, comma, or principles, comma, okay? So indoctrinate is to teach about doctrines, theories, beliefs, or principles, okay? Number two, how we identify indoctrinate. Two is how it's reflected upon, how it's thought to be, its perspective is to instruct and to teach. So indoctrinate is at its source, at its formation, okay? Because this is a forming of a word, because the English language was formed, and so was this word. It was formed by man. So this word was formed by man, right? Because the English language was created based off of principles and natural principles. We could dive deeper into that because there's many different principles. Principles are a representation of beginnings. So to teach, to instruct, to indoctrinate on theories, beliefs, or principles. So there's all kinds of theories, beliefs, and principles, aren't there? We live in a whole bunch, in a world full of theories, beliefs, and principles. We know this, and we have real life evidence of this because we all individually have our own theories, beliefs, and principles. So we're already, that's a form of natural existence, right? Because we all have that ability to have theories, beliefs, and principles because we are that. That is us. That is the universe. That's how we're able to use these things because we can identify and connect to these things. So to teach, indoctrinate in just its objectivity of observing a form, observing a being, observing an existence, a spirit, because we're diving into the spirit of it right now by talking deeper about what it is, going into its principles and its meaning, its purpose, meaning, and reason. That's how we identify the spirit of the word: purpose, meaning, and reason. That's also identifying the feminine, the yin. So to indoctrinate is to teach at its principle, at its beginning, at its root of the word is to teach, or instructing. Is it instructing? Yep, to instruct in doctrines, okay? So let's take a look at what doctrines are. If I can find it easily. Oh. Oops. Oh, I took it out. Damn it. Hold on. Go find it again. How much time I got? I sure was. Okay. Doctrines. As a noun, a person, place, or thing. So doctrine is a person. Doctrine is a place. Doctrine is a thing. So doctrine, a noun, person, place, or thing. Doctrine is a person. Doctrine can be a place. Doctrine can be a thing. Okay? Teaching, instruction. A teacher, instructor, to teach. So doctrine is teaching, a teaching, an instruction, a teacher, an instructor, to teach. So it's all about teaching, right? So doctrine at its formation has nothing to do with any type of religion or religious system, right? Because doctrine is a form of teaching. It's a tool to teach, to use, to inform about ideas and concepts and whatever aspect of life that is being taught. So there's many ways to perceive doctrine, and not just in a religious aspect, because once we know the foundation of doctrine and indoctrinating, we can understand it in many different aspects, not just in a religious aspect, but in the aspect that it is used as a form of teaching and instructing. Okay, so if that's the case, then we're all, indoctrinated. But it has, just depending on the belief systems about the word, like people may feel a certain way because people, are saying that people are indoctrinated. Well, yes, very much so, because it's a system of teaching. So when we start to look at these educational systems, we know that that is a system of indoctrination, of teaching. They teach you their ideas, their theories, and their beliefs, their science, right? Because it comes from their source of information, um, what they want you to know. And we know that there are many different aspects of life and many ways of seeing, especially when it comes to their history, right? Because they are the originators of their own history, and they're bringing what they want to know, what want to be known to light, in which uh, depending on our belief in their systems is how much we participate in their form of life. I hope that makes sense, because it's just what it said in Indoctrinate about theories, beliefs, and ideology is another one. I don't even know if it said that, but that is their idea. It's a source of somebody's idea, another man or another group of beings. And when you put your faith into their belief systems, that's where you're putting your reality, and um, that's not the actual reality of life. Is because there's many different realities, many different ways of existing, and many ways of thinking, and many ways of being. So we choose these avenues based off of not knowing, not knowing, being blinded, or totally in the dark about what these systems are. And these systems aren't teaching their foundation. They're teaching off of their own principles that they have formed. And now everything is online, and that's another creation of man. And it's still a form of their teachings. Whoever's in control of that intellectual property. So we need to start understanding these things and seeing the source, seeing the root of the society that we live in, because that gives us a better connection to actual life, and the meaning of it, and not being trapped in somebody else's view of how life should be, and therefore that us subscribing to that becomes all of our reality, because that's what we are given a lot of energy and attention to, is this type of society, by continuing on to participate in these things. And we all have individual choice, but a lot of us do not have individual choice because of the lack of knowing and understanding what's actually going on. Because once you know the source, the root of things, the foundation, the natural foundation, you're able to see how it was built upon and how these things are used. So as a natural foundation of indoctrination, it is to teach. There's many forms of teaching. These religions are teaching, and their main instrument of teaching is that Bible. That's not the only way of teaching, especially it's not the only way to connect to the source. There's many different ways of connecting to source and sources, but you have to understand what that means to you. This shit is deep, but that's why we go to the root. And, just depending on what you invest your time in and how deep you choose to go, that's how you more get into the spirit of things and getting into the spiritual aspect of life. By seeing things more, being able to see more than what this is. And it's a beautiful thing.